What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today, double upload, we are going to be covering the New York Giants, who have the third overall pick in this year's NFL draft, who find themselves kind of in a similar situation to the Browns as far as their quarterback situation. The Giants were able to confirm Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, so they have some viable options at quarterback position, obviously not long term. And they have a plethora of other needs, obviously, that they need to take care of. Giants were not a particularly good team last year at anything, especially throwing the ball. So to now finally have a quarterback who can dish it out to Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Neighbors, this is a team that could potentially be solid. And how they progress on that is going to depend kind of on how the Titans and the Browns decide to pick. If the Titans, if the Titans and the Browns both go quarterback, Giants get their fair share of whoever they want, pretty much. If the Titans choose, say, Abdul Carter or or Travis Hunter or vice versa on the Browns, things could get a little more shaky, and there could be a lot tougher decisions to make. But overall, I liked what the Giants did in this offseason, primarily around the quarterback position. And I don't think that this is necessarily an awful team. I just think that they had really bad quarterback play. And to see what, their receiving room did with, no offense, but Tommy DeVito and Drew Lock and Daniel Jones at the start of the year, it was pretty impressive to me. I think that this could be an offense that is much scarier than it was last year, especially with guys like Tyrone Tracy also, blossoming into really, really good players on their offense. But the Giants also need to address some, holes on the O-line. They're not without their faults. But like I said, we're going to hop into this and, so it was going to depend on who fell to the Giants here. Obviously, Cam Ward going first overall, that's pretty much consensus. But Travis Hunter going second overall when the Browns could take Abdul Carter. They could take Travis Hunter. They could take Shedeur Sanders. I heard reports that they could take Jackson Dart. Who knows? But the Giants now, with Travis Hunter, who was going to be the top option if the Giants, if he had fell to the Giants, I no longer think, I don't think that the Giants are going to invest in Abdul Carter. I do think that he is the best player available, and I do think that it could potentially be smart to grab, best player available. But I don't think that it's a big need for the Giants compared to the other Giant needs. So I start to look between Mason Graham and Will Campbell. Mason Graham obviously being the best defensive interior lineman. I don't think that he will find himself in a position to go past 6, honestly. So this is an option for the Giants. They are in dire need of somebody to plug up the middle, and Mason Graham would fit in very perfectly there. But on the other hand, you are in desperate need of a tackle. And this was also an option that I saw for the Giants, which was to grab Will Campbell. A lot of people view him as the best tackle in this draft, has, short arms slightly. But he has, a football IQ compared to no one in this, as far as linemen, I feel like, in this draft. So it's kind of, do you want to get the extra protection for Russell Wilson? Or do you want to invest in your defense and hopefully make Russell Wilson's job a lot easier? We've seen what he can do, in past, obviously, not, the best over the last couple of years, but we saw what he could do last year in Pittsburgh when a defense was just tremendously overwhelming. If the Giants can replicate, some similarities there to what the Steelers did last year on defense, Russell Wilson could have a very successful season, and we might see the Giants jump up quite a bit. On the other hand, Will Campbell being that lineman, that guy that is going to protect your quarterback, that he's the most important guy almost on the field. Definitely the most important as far as offensive lineman. Getting Russell Wilson that kind of help, I think, is very important. But I do think that based off of what we saw in the Super Bowl, defense wins championships. And when you have a guy like Mason Graham sitting here to plug into a hole that you're in dire need of, I don't see anybody else that could be the option other than Mason Graham. Again, Abdul Carter, I feel like if you want to go the best positional player available, it's a solid option. I just don't think, the Giants are in a position to grab a player like that when they have so many other desperate needs to fill. Abdul Carter obviously going right after that. Armand Membu going to the Jaguars. Will Campbell going to the Jets. Interesting picks. Giants, again, 34, second pick, right after the Browns in the second round. This could have been a position where you might have been able to invest in, say, a lineman and then grab like a Derek Harmon or a Darius Alexander. I don't hate it, but I do feel like they can grab somebody else here. James Pierce Jr. actually falling here. I just noticed that to pick 33 is insane to me with the intangibles that this guy has. That being said, I think for the Giants, with their second overall pick, they're going to invest on the offensive side of the ball. Now that they've invested on the defensive side of the ball, they're going to get their tackle of the future. Josh Connerly, a guy that I've seen rise up the ranks, definitely not seen necessarily as a first-round talent, but he is one of the better tackles in this class, and I've seen him linked to teams like the 49ers. He's held a ton of interviews, and I think that for the Giants, they get a tremendous tackle, a tremendously talented tackle with so much extra learning that he can do to be even better to protect your quarterback that you just signed. And, you don't know how long Russell Wilson is going to be there. You don't know who your quarterback of the future is, but you can start investing in that offensive line now. So when you do know what your long-term answer is at quarterback, Josh Connerly is sitting there, waiting to block. I could have decided, to do something similar with what I did with the Browns, which Jackson Dart is sitting here at 34. I don't think that this is I don't think that, obviously he's probably not going to be here when the Giants get to 34. But I think that the Giants are going to invest in their quarterback last. I do think that they have guys out there that they feel like could be successful for them. Primarily, I'm looking at a guy like Jalen Milroe, or even a guy later in the rounds like Kyle McCord, who could be a tremendous talent and might, get them over that hump that they're looking for, get them their quarterback of the future, their next Eli Manning. So for now, I do see Luther Burden here, and I do see James Pierce Jr. here. Both are tremendously talented players, but neither at positions of need for the Giants. I'm looking at Josh Connerly. He's going to plug in very well. Lineman of the future. He's going to be a tremendous talent in the NFL. Future starting left tackle. Mark my words there. Obviously, James Pierce Jr. ends up going to the Titans. Luther Burden goes to the Raiders. Interesting. Nothing much else. A lot of the running backs started to go. So now the Giants, once again, on the clock, pick 65, 2 picks left. And two of the guys that I like here, again, is hard because Jackson Dart is still sitting here. And obviously that's just going to be wrong. So what I want to do is I want to invest in their defensive side of the ball again. I look at guys like Benjamin Morrison, who could potentially be good corners in the NFL. He has a lot of good instincts. He is a playmaker, especially in man-to-man coverage. But for me, I look at Darian Porter a lot more. He's one of my favorite cornerback prospects in this class by far. I do think that I don't want to like toot my own horn or get way ahead of myself. He is at least, in my mind, a second team All-Pro by the end of his career. I think he is tremendously fast. He is an incredibly speedy guy. You see reports that analysts are comparing Darian Porter to essentially being a wide receiver with cornerback-esque playmaking skills, and that's what we want to see from guys like guys that are in our secondary. That's what we want to see, because corners that can catch the ball like their wide receivers are so important in the NFL. So many times we've seen corners, drop the ball or not be able to make a play. Darian Porter feels like he could, come in on the Giants, be a starting corner for them, and then, I wouldn't be surprised if they put him on some wide receiver packages because of how tremendously fast he is. Darian Porter, again, my favorite person for the Giants at this draft pick. Yeah, you can't beat it. So 99 now is where I really want to look at the quarterbacks, because if I see once again, okay, so this is starting to look a lot more realistic now. Jalen Milroe going 73rd to the Jets, Jackson Dart going 67 to the Browns. Almost like I could have predicted that. The Giants could look at a guy like Will Howard. He has the intangibles to be a successful quarterback in the NFL. I just don't know if his playmaking ability, his decision making, is quite up to the level that you would expect an NFL caliber quarterback to be. But when you look at the New York Giants, I view them. They re-signed Tommy DeVito. I'm fairly sure. So they're pretty committed, to having him on their roster for some amount of time period. Did the Giants decide to grab a Will Howard and have him compete for a roster spot, learn the game a little bit, maybe bring him in at some point? There are some question marks. You can also commit. A lot of people will commit a late third round pick to start beefing up guys in their receiving room or their running back room. Isaiah Bond comes to mind. Harold Fannin Jr. They could sure use a tight end. Definitely comes in mind. But for me, the one that makes the most sense is Will Howard. I don't really see the Giants deciding to go in a different route here. I think that they will choose a quarterback within the first 3 rounds. It just kind of depends on where everything else falls. And, there are some thoughts that the Giants could move up and trade up to draft a quarterback much sooner, as Shedeur Sanders or a Jackson Dart. Only time will tell, but I like going Will Howard here. I think the Giants are in need of a future quarterback, and with Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston to learn from, Will Howard could be a potential star in the NFL for the Giants. Yeah, so that being said, I think I did fairly well. We covered pretty much everything that the Giants really needed to cover on defense and on offense. The last pick was kind of questionable. It could have really gone any which way. But I think that the Giants have done, in this draft what they really needed to do. So that's going to be it for me. If you guys like this video and you guys want to see more videos like it, smash that like button, comment if you're new here, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.